Rachel Senes with City TV, and welcome to the special edition of Inside Santa Barbara, the city's only news magazine show. We bring you up to date on the city's most significant issues, projects, and events. Today we are coming to you from West Mountain Drive, and from this vantage point you can see some of the area that was burned by the Tea Fire. That fire burned 1,940 acres and destroyed 230 homes. In our top story, we bring you eyewitness accounts of the fire that took out so many homes in such a short period of time. Thursday, November 13th, a day of high temperatures and strong winds. The conditions, a recipe for disaster. At 5:45 p.m., the Tea Fire broke out at Coyote and East Mountain Drive. The fast-moving, wind-driven Tea Fire blazed through parts of Montecito and the city of Santa Barbara. Numerous mutual response agencies from throughout Southern California joined together to battle the flames. But Mother Nature acted on its own, quickly taking down hundreds of expensive homes. We're on the 1100 block of Los Alturas Road, and this is what's left of a house here. Over here you can see a swimming pool filled with debris and ash. This is where the garage or driveway used to be. Over here is a fireplace, or what's left of it, and past that, a beautiful view of the ocean. For this house with a mountain view, only the front door remains standing. This house on Los Alturas Drive survived, but its next-door neighbor not so lucky. Here is what's left of a house on Camino Verde after it was remodeled just 6 months ago.
As you can see in this neighborhood, that house is safe, and, these three, gone.
For one Santa Barbara resident, the 3-story house that was filled with so many memories is now gone.
This has always been my home away from home. This specific house, I've lived here ever since I can remember, off and on. And it's very sad to see it like this. I was really upset this morning when I saw it on TV. You could recognize it, pick it out, and you saw the garage, the house is gone.
Another resident who witnessed the fire heading towards this neighborhood will never again underestimate the winds.
I mean, basically it just shows you how random of an event it is. You're never assured whether it's going to hit your home or not. And some people are lucky and some people aren't. It's just, you never know what's going to happen.
As evacuees returned to their homes, City of Santa Barbara Public Works crews surveyed the destruction, shutting off gas and water where necessary. This couple returned to their decimated neighborhood to find their home virtually unscathed. This isn't the first disaster they've survived.
We've evacuated before. We were in the slide and lock in Cheetah as well, and that kind of shocked us a little bit. Now we were running for, from our house, where the last time we did this, we had to run from our house and watch it happen, and this time we were running from our house knowing that we weren't coming back, that our house was actually going to be affected, and it was tough. It's still shocking, even when you come back and you have a home, and to know that there's nobody else around here.
With winter rains just around the corner, the McLaughlins and their neighbors have a new fear to face.
It's not far from a slide area, and once the rains come, all of, everything that's just burnt is just gonna slide down.
The potential threat of mudslides has those in the Tea Fire area flocking to the emergency sandbag station at 401 East Yananali Street, set up by the city and county. While victims of the Tea Fire rebuild and recover, they also wait to see what Mother Nature has in store for them next. The Tea Fire started at the Tea Gardens, where a group of young people started a bonfire that they thought they fully extinguished when they left the area. But strong winds and high temperatures helped to relight that bonfire. Well, after a disaster like the Tea Fire, victims face many challenges like where to live, insurance, and rebuilding. In response, the city, along with more than 24 agencies, set up a local assistance center. Up next, we show you some of the services victims had at their disposal to help them rebuild and recover. Your home is destroyed by wildfire. All your possessions, including important documents, are gone. You are left with little more than the clothes on your back. For those affected by the Tea Fire, this is reality. For many residents, emotions strike first, followed by reality. Where do I go from here? How much is this going to cost? After a disaster, homeowners have so many questions that need to be answered, but victims of the Tea Fire did not have to carry that burden alone. This is what it looks like when federal, state, and local government agencies join with the Red Cross, insurers, and nonprofits to provide a one-stop shop of disaster relief. Before the embers of the Tea Fire had cooled, this local assistance center was set up at the Louise Lowry Davis Center on Delavina Street.
Our citizens came in, you could tell that they were just, their world had been turned topsy-turvy. A lot of folks came in with kind of a glazed expression. You know, you could see the sadness in the feelings in their face and their eyes. And they didn't know where to turn, and this was really a great effort by the city and county to find one place where they could come and get relief, get help, and start them on the path to recovery.
The center offered a wide array of assistance.
So both city and county planning, building officials were here. You were able to receive information on how to get archive plans for your buildings. The Red Cross was here, Chamber of Commerce. We had utilities here so folks could start and stop services. Housing Authority, Santa Barbara Contractors Association was here to lend information on how to hire a contractor. The local chapter of the American Institute for Architects, legal assistance, counseling services.
We're here to build trust with people, build connections with people so that they know where to come to later when their emotions do start coming up. Right now they're dealing with a lot of practical issues, and this is actually a good way to cope in the moment. But waves of emotion and feelings start coming up, and that will happen with time as they begin to move through the healing process in all of this.
Well, the people that we've had come in basically, have no experience with the building process and basically don't know where to begin. And so we're just kind of laying out the groundwork for what needs to be done, working with the city and the county as far as getting existing plans for their homes. And then some people are asking about, the design process and how you go about getting a set of plans prepared in order to replace their homes.
People have questions about, how are limits on my insurance policy determined? How was my deductible decided? How is it that I compile a list of my contents for my house so that I can effectively communicate with my insurance agent? Just a lot of questions like that.
Once the Tea Fire was declared a federal disaster, FEMA and other federal agencies added their services to the Assistance Center. Those affected by the fire were advised to register with FEMA right away.
After you register with FEMA, you will be given a registration number, and you can check on your application by calling again the FEMA 800 number and giving them your registration number, or you can do it online.
FEMA acts as a safety net for disaster victims to address their unmet needs.
Unmet needs are those that were not covered by your local insurance or by your insurance company, such as, again, rental insurance. That might be helpful that you could get through FEMA.
FEMA helps to fill in the gaps of reconstruction financing via the Small Business Administration.
We offer loans to repair your property, or you can relocate if you need to. We can also refinance a part of your mortgage if your home is substantially damaged.
Utilities providers were present to stop service. Southern California Edison customers were given a small but much needed bit of good news.
We will be forgiving their last bill. And that's something that's really important because a lot of people, they don't understand that, they don't know that, they don't know how much their bill was, where it is, other than it burned to ash, and so a lot of people are really concerned about that, and so we're very proud to be able to tell them that we're helping them in this respect.
To help the scores of newly homeless people find a place to live, the city sent out a call for assistance.
I got on the phone to all the realtors and to the hotels and compiled a list of all the rental properties that were available and printed them up. And then as people come in and I listen to their story and what their needs are, and I try to match up what they need with what's available. And it's tough. It's really hard.
Cushman says that a surprising number of people displaced by the Tea Fire are renters, and that poses a number of additional challenges.
You know, they had pretty good deals. So it's hard to find them rentals in their price range. And many of them have pets because they were living back in the hills. And that's hard too. So if anybody's watching and you're willing to help out and you have a rental that you'll take pets, then give the Chamber of Commerce a call.
The T-Fire Local Assistance Center was a conduit connecting those in need with those eager to help. And while the reason victims and aid workers were there couldn't have been more different, the effects were the same.
Everyone that worked here was so welcoming. You could see a change, that people had some relief and they had some hope, and when they left they were thankful, and it was a great experience to go through.
According to FEMA and the Governor's Office of Emergency Services, Californians who suffered losses from wildfires are approved for more than $1.43 million in disaster assistance so far. The potential for flooding during heavy rains is a concern for those who live in the T-Fire burn areas and other residents who live in areas once burned by a fire. The winter storm season is approaching, and during this time, up-to-date, accurate weather reports are key to keeping citizens safe and prepared. City TV's Van 2 takes us inside the National Weather Service to show us how it forecasts Mother Nature's next move.
Mother Nature is many things: powerful, vast, destructive. But luckily, when it comes to weather, she is also predictable. With today's technology, meteorologists can tell us when conditions will be ripe for wildfire or show the likely path of a storm before it hits land. This gives us valuable time to prepare. For instance, if the burn area of the Gap Fire receives enough rain, it will pose a serious threat of flooding to parts of Goleta and Santa Barbara. Being informed about potential rainfall is vital information. But where does this information come from, and how do we access it? The National Weather Service, or NWS, is the resource that keeps residents in the know.
The Weather Service is a federal agency. We fall under the Department of Commerce, and it is our mission to protect lives and property by issuing weather forecasts and the watches and warnings we issue for the community.
At this Oxnard station, 15 officers and 2 meteorologists monitor the weather around the clock for San Luis Obispo, Ventura, Los Angeles, and Santa Barbara counties. Weather forecasts, watches, warnings, and advisories are fed through the NWS weather radio and are then available to the public via the internet and radio and television broadcasts.
Since the storm can make driving difficult, especially for high-profile vehicles.
For flooding, there are 4 terms used by the NWS to inform the public: outlook, flood advisory, flash flood watch, and flash flood warning.
In a 2 to 5 day time frame out from now, we'll see something coming, maybe a major winter storm, and we'll issue an outlook, which we call a special weather statement. And this will give you an idea of the potential with this storm. Flood advisory is similar to a warning, but it's not a threat to life and property. We're getting ponding of water, say underneath a bridge on the freeways, or maybe even the city. You get a lot of water in the streets and parking lots. It's more nuisance level activity.
The outlook statement and the flood advisory are messages before and after the storm. During a storm, residents can listen for flood watches and warnings.
And usually it's going to be several hours in advance. In the case of a flash flood watch, we usually try to have something out 6 hours up to 24 hours in advance.
If the weather gets worse after a flood watch, the NWS can issue a flash flood warning.
It could be a matter of minutes lead time, or maybe just over an hour. But at that point, a warning is out, and it's a danger to life and property, and probably not the best time to get in your car and drive away. You want to stay safe in a shelter or move to higher ground if you need to, away from low-lying areas. You could have an inch of rain per hour that could cause problems just about anywhere. For a recent burn area, that may be cut in half.
Warnings automatically trigger the emergency alert system.
And that is an agreement through the FCC to get the warning out to the radio and TV stations, and they have to then record the warning information and rebroadcast it within a matter of minutes so that the public gets that immediately on radio and television stations.
You too can help the NWS just by taking a look outside your window and telling them what you see. By being a weather spotter, you provide the NWS with something called ground proof of weather conditions.
We use really sophisticated tools like radar, satellite, rain gauges can tell us what's happening, but you need people to tell you with their eyes exactly what's happening.
Because of today's technology, weather reporting and forecasting has never been better, and thanks to the National Weather Service, the power of preparation is at your fingertips.
People need to stay situationally aware of the weather, and then they'll have a heads up about what's coming several days in advance.
For more information, visit citytv18.com or nws.gov. Well, residents who live in the T-Fire burn area aren't the only ones concerned about flooding. The Santa Barbara Airport has prepared an emergency action plan in preparation for possible flood impacts due to the Gap Fire that burned in the San Ynez Mountains above Goleta this past summer. In July, the Gap wildfire burned nearly 10,000 acres in the Los Padres National Forest, northwest of Goleta. Because the Gap Fire removed almost all the vegetation in the burned area, there is greater potential for increased runoff and debris flow, leading to flooding. Several months after the Gap Fire, the U.S. Forest Service initiated a large hydromulching process out of the Santa Barbara Airport to help stabilize the area. The green substance was dropped from the air and covered the burn areas of the San Ynez Mountains. Hydromulch is an organic material made of wood mulch, recycled paper, water, and guar gum, a substance that binds the ingredients together. It is non-toxic and has proven to be very effective in controlling erosion.
Flood preps that are in place have to do with the standard clearing of channels and checking of storm drains. But I think it was taken a little further this year because of the Gap Fire and the increased sediment flows that can be expected, debris and sediment, because of the lack of vegetation up there.
The elevation and location of the airport make it particularly susceptible to flooding.
We are unique because of the four creeks converging on the airport and then the wetlands that feed right into the ocean. So we need to kind of keep a closer eye on our response plan as far as flood and mitigation for those types of activities.
This creek goes all the way up into the foothills, up in the watershed area of the Gap Fire. And as you can see in this general area from here to the freeway, it's all concrete lines. So when it's in this section, it's moving pretty fast. When you got vegetation in the banks and stuff, that stops a lot of the debris and things. But, we kind of worry about log jams or any kind of debris or stuff that's washing down could have a possibility of blocking this all up.
Historically, the airport has been subject to flooding, like in 1995, a sight that eyewitnesses could never forget.
By the time we got here that first morning in 95, there was like almost 3 feet of water right where you're standing.
Also unforgettable, the airport in the late 1990s, when it was completely shut down after the storms of El Nino.
The capacity of the waterways out in the airport couldn't handle the flow, and so the airport was closed and flooded for several days. Big impact out there, both for damage to the infrastructure and economic damage too, because of the closed airport. The only vehicles that could operate on the airport were the crash trucks. We actually had to go over to the terminal a couple of times and check on them, and that was our only way that we could get there, short of a boat.
To keep history from repeating itself, the airport is partnering with County Flood Control and the City of Goleta.
Well, right now we're at one of the northwest portions of the airport just off of Hollister, and this creek behind me serves as one of the main sediment basins, and there's another one further west on Hollister off of Los Caneros. And the county flood control every year clears these out, and they were just phenomenal this year. They got out here very early, spent a lot of time and a lot of manpower out here thoroughly getting these basins cleared out and dredged, so should we get additional flows, we're better able to handle the additional sediment.
Airport maintenance crews are also in the mix, clearing weeds from culverts and bridges. Recently, crews placed this roofing material over sewer manholes on airport property.
One of the things that we learned is if you do get major flooding, you got to figure all this water and mud just sheeting down here. This is the sewer manhole lid. And what happens is if we don't seal it, all that mud gets in the sewer system.
There is concern for specific pollutants washing into the storm drains at the airport during the rain or a potential flood, like rubber on the runway from airplane tires. That's why each storm drain on airport property has a carbon filter. There are also concerns for this bridge off of Hollister.
See right down in here? That's one of Goleta Sanitary District's sewer mains, and they're really worried about that getting washed out. And not only that, once that's relocated, county flood can get in here and dig this down deeper. So there'll be more of a passageway through here for the debris and the water, and it won't endanger the bridge.
The airport continuously monitors weather forecasts, and fortunately, the recent rains have been light. Even though most of the 954 acres of airport property is in a floodplain or floodway, airport officials say getting ready ahead of time for possible creek overflows and debris deposits is key to being prepared for the next heavy downpour. Past floods have closed the airport to aircraft operations from 1 to 3 days. If flooding should happen this winter, the airport will coordinate its response with the City of Santa Barbara, City of Goleta, and the county. Well, some rain has already fallen in Santa Barbara, and rain means driving conditions can be a little dicey. Up next, find out how to keep the risk out of your ride.
In normally sunny Southern California, the recipe for driving disaster calls for only one thing: just add water. Visibility decreases, the roads are slick with oil and grease, it takes longer for your car to stop. There are a number of things you can do, though, to prevent weather-related accidents. The first thing to understand is that fair and foul weather driving are completely different.
In the rain, if it is a heavy rain, your ability to perceive hazards is going to be less because you're just not going to be able to see things as clear. People driving by you are going to create more spray that's coming up on your windshield. Anytime your ability to see a hazard is reduced, you need to slow down and give yourself more ability to react to the hazard once you do see it. Everything's about seeing what the hazards are. If you can't see the hazard, you can't react to it.
Before you even start your car, there are a few things to check to help you see and be seen. First, do your windshield wipers work without streaking? What about your headlights? It's allowed to have them on when your wipers are in use. And don't forget to check your defroster. But if you have air conditioning, it's the fastest way to defog a window, and it doesn't even have to be cold. Also crucial, tires. Are they properly inflated and have sufficient tread on them? An easy way to measure tread is by placing a penny head down in between the treads. If it reaches the top of Lincoln's head, you're good to go. The next safety tip, keep your distance.
Try to give yourself 3 seconds behind the vehicle in front of you. When they pass a fixed object on the road, when they pass a palm tree, count 1001, 1002, 1003. If you've already passed that same fixed object, you're too close to them.
In the event of hydroplaning or skidding, don't brake suddenly or turn the wheel abruptly. Release the gas pedal slowly and steer straight until the car regains traction. If you must brake, brake lightly to prevent a spin-out. And the most important tip of them all?
Give yourself time to get where you're going. That's the biggest thing. Take your time, get there safely.
Even though Santa Barbara doesn't experience as much rain as other regions in the country, it doesn't take much water to make the roads slick. Remember to always drive with caution, rain or shine.
If you got a broken spatula, don't throw it out. Santa Barbara recycles all metals now. If you got a broken toy and you don't know what to do, Santa Barbara can recycle all plastics too. All metals and plastics are recyclable. You can even recycle your bicycle, 'cause all metals and plastics are recyclable. So reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Oh my gosh, I'm so bloated. I mean, look at my stem.
You do look a little puffy.
I totally can't believe how much water I'm retaining.
Me too. This guy needs to cut back on watering.
He must be trying to drown us or something.
Shh, look across the street. There she is, the California sunflower.
How can a flower look that good this time of year?
I don't think I've seen her get even one drop of water.
Well, it did rain 3 months ago.
Don't overwater your plants. Learn more at sbwater.org.
Oh, come on, again?
You're killing me.
Shouldn't that go into recycling?
Recycling. Everybody knows the trash gets sorted.
Fact is, no trash gets sorted, friend. So if it goes in there, it just ends up in a landfill.
There's only one way to settle this. Draw.
Santa Barbara Recycle.
Well, the city is always working to maintain public areas and make them as inviting as possible. Up next, there are not one, not two, but now 3 new reasons to step outside and enjoy Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara is known by residents and visitors alike for its beautiful open spaces and pedestrian-friendly environment. But to maintain and improve that environment takes work. Work that the people of the city's Public Works Department are glad to do. This fall, Public Works completed 3 projects that will make our city even more appealing to those who want to get outside and enjoy Santa Barbara. One of those projects that will make getting around on bike and foot safer and more pleasant is the Junipero pedestrian bridge lighting upgrade.
This promotes more accessibility within the city for using other means besides a vehicle to get from point A to point B. Due to the freeway kind of intersecting the city, it makes it difficult to get across the freeway sometimes. So we just want to make sure that citizens had as many options as possible.
Located between Mission Street and Las Positas, the Junipero pedestrian bridge connects 2 highly trafficked areas for both bicyclists and pedestrians. Oak Park on the east side of the 101 and Lecumber Junior High School and Pilgrim Terrace on the west. The bridge has been a great resource to residents, but with no lights, it wasn't an inviting route at night.
The only other lights on the bridge were for the lights to light up the Caltrans signs, which didn't help anything because they're just the signs for motorists. Other than that, there's no lights on the bridge. And so it made it very difficult at night. I mean, I traversed it at night once before the lights, and I didn't feel comfortable at all. And now that there's lights on it, it's just a lot better.
Now with 16 new light fixtures that come on in the evening or with low visibility, exploring the city by foot or pedal is an option any time of day. Not far from the Junipero pedestrian bridge, you'll find one of the city's most unique public parks. Bonet Park, a small pocket park located on San Andres Street, is now a place where nearby residents can enjoy the outdoors without leaving home behind. What used to simply be a dead end of Victoria Street has now been turned into a whimsical representation of a house, complete with an outdoor creek overlook and cushioned creek flowing through.
The most unique part of this project is all the artwork and all the whimsical elements, we call them. We have a bungalow. It's a partially constructed house with a lot of furnishing type elements in it. We have a concrete couch, a kitchen sink, a porch swing. It also has a ceramic rug inside of it that was constructed by some local youth and then installed by a local contractor. And then it's got abundance of different kinds of plants, all low water plants, all together, a very unique park.
With its debut to the public in December, the city hopes this becomes a little natural retreat from residents' hectic daily lives.
I think it gives them a place to sit down and get out of their normal life of running around, and it gives them a place where they can look down at Mission Creek and relax and enjoy Santa Barbara.
From Santa Barbara's newest park addition, we head to one of the city's oldest parks. Plaza Veracruz was set aside in 1855 as a public plaza, and in 1870 became the city's first playground for local youth.
It's had a long history. It's a large grass park, a lot of really old trees. It's got a small playground on it as well.
In order to preserve this historical space, Public Works set out to renovate the park over the summer and into the fall.
Our main goal was to replace a lot of the infrastructure at Plaza Veracruz. It's the oldest park in town, so it got some deteriorated infrastructure. We redid the service road, redid some concrete driveways, installed new concrete sidewalks, park benches for sitting, new light poles for safety and security, and also installed new planter beds with all new plants.
The project rejuvenates this 1.5-acre plaza in downtown. It improves safety, access, and beautifies the area while preserving a piece of Santa Barbara history.
Santa Barbara has a long history of different parks in different parts of town that I think residents really appreciate. And I know from this project that there's a lot of area residents that are really excited to see the park reopened. So that, as a project manager, that really gives me motivation that people are enjoying these different parks.
With these newly completed public works projects throughout the city, many more visitors and residents will be able to get out and enjoy the serene surroundings Santa Barbara has to offer.
The Public Works Department will be starting other recreation improvements throughout 2009, including pedestrian improvements to West Downtown, the Parma Park Equestrian Staging Area, and the renovation of the Korea Recreation Center. Well, art by committee may sound like an oxymoron, but for the past 23 years, the City Arts Advisory Committee has been enhancing and expanding art in Santa Barbara. Chris Bell has the story.
Santa Barbara has long had a strong relationship with the arts. Not only have numerous renowned artists lived here, many learned their craft here at schools like the Santa Barbara School of the Arts. It's in the landscape and architecture that surrounds us, and it's reflected in the abundance of venues, galleries, and nonprofits that focus on the arts.
People are always amazed when they come here and they see the number of remarkable arts venues that we have in town, and that they're so integrated into the city. It's a very walkable city, and that I think makes even the art elements more important.
But integrating public art into a city with such strong artistic heritage isn't always easy. Case in point, the Dolphin Fountain. In the early 1980s, the city held an open competition for a fountain to be constructed at the foot of Stearns Wharf. The winner was an abstract version of the mission. But when a popular vote was held, residents chose Bud Bottom's dolphin concept. However, the city's design review boards rejected this choice because it didn't reflect the city's signature Spanish colonial revival style. Bottom's concept eventually prevailed, but it highlighted the need for policy in regards to public art. A few years later, the city commissioned a study to see what kind of body would best be able to establish such policy.
There was an interest in developing a city arts commission, if you would, or some body at the city level that would oversee arts and arts issues for the city.
In 1985, the city created the Arts Advisory Committee and the Visual Arts and Public Places, or VAP, subcommittee.
The VAP committee is they are specifically interested in addressing those issues that have to do with public art, the review of public art, establishing policies about public art, and the maintenance of that public art. Arts Advisory works closely with them, and their real job is establishing policies for the city and making recommendations to council.
The Arts Advisory also really helps with the city grants process. And this year we received almost $400,000, which was distributed throughout the city to nonprofits to help preserve the cultural life of Santa Barbara.
The Arts Advisory Committee also recommends the person to hold the honorary post of City Poet Laureate.
City trees, caring for us, with green and bloom and needlessness, street after shaded street, they yield a sort of saintedness, as if they were crooning to us in our rush. There, busy ones. Breathe.
It kind of links the civic community with the art community. And so if there are public functions and whatever, that poet laureate stands up for all the arts, really.
The committees don't decide what art gets displayed in public. Rather, they help projects get through the process and make recommendations to City Council. Examples of this include the state-of-the-art exhibits and the pending West Beach Pedestrian Improvement Project.
We will evaluate the blueprints, talk to them, and before they go to the next step, which is usually ABR, we talk to them about things they might want to consider. The times that it's easiest to work is when they have public art involved from the very beginning.
Due to the state of the economy, the Arts Advisory Committee is now looking at ways to sustain existing art exhibits.
This is a nationwide issue now, as public art that became very popular in the 70s, early 80s. Now, 30 years later, those public art pieces, when they were developed, we thought there was plenty of money for the maintenance of those, and now we're finding that those funds have run out, and so where are the issues? So that the issue of when you do put in public art, what is the program to maintain it?
And you don't have to be an artist to be on either committee.
We come from different disciplines, we come from very different backgrounds, and we all care very much about keeping arts alive in our community, and that's the common thread here.
A common thread that is integral to the enhancement and expansion of the beautiful tapestry that is Santa Barbara.
They are an amazing group of passionate people who love the arts and really care about it, and they want to make sure that Santa Barbara has the very best opportunities for art that they can.
We live actually here in Santa Barbara in paradise, so everywhere we look it's very beautiful. But art enlarges that dimension. And so even if you didn't know anything about the public art that's around town that you just take for granted, you are going to be enriched in your life just by looking at that and being involved in that. So the more we can contribute to that, the more we can grow a better community.
For a history of public art in Santa Barbara, go to our website citytv18.com and check out In Plain Sight on the shows page. Well, a new project is going to save the city water by using more efficient irrigation technology. Christie's Wiki has the story with a special appearance by the Garden Wise Guys.
The Garden Wise Guys have been teaching viewers about irrigation for the last 4 years. Hosts Owen Dell and Billy Goodnick have a way of making things like drip tubing and spray heads a lot more fun.
I am the wonderful wizard of water. I know your garden, and I know that your watering practices are very wasteful.
In November, the Garden Wise Guys visited the Louise Lowry Davis Center, where one of the most advanced water irrigation systems available today was being installed. The Irrigation System Pilot Project is sponsored by the City Water Resources Division and Parks and Recreation Department, and all the materials were donated by the manufacturer Jardinier.
Previously, we had a conventional spray system with hunter heads.
Spraying like a regular spray system.
That's correct.
And what's the problem with that? Why was that?
Well, we had some issues with that.
Okay.
One, you get drift. Sometimes the irrigation sprinkler can come out of adjustment, and before you know it, now you're watering the sidewalk. You continually have to do irrigation checks. Sprinkler heads that just don't work, and they're just spraying in one section, and you just continue to have to do maintenance.
The new irrigation technique is based on a theory developed at Cal Poly Pomona.
The way it looks to me is you've got a PVC pipe here, just a standard irrigation pipe. There's a saddle fitting which connects this riser, and the turf is going to be up here. And what's going to happen, there's a little emitter, like a drip emitter here, and water's going to come up through here and bubble out and spread out across the turf area.
The analogy I like to use is if you took a pad of paper and try to pour water on it right here, it would get all over all three of us. Right. Because it doesn't take the water in very easily. But if I put a sponge on top of that paper, which is what the grass really is, and I started pouring the water into the sponge, it would move up, it would move to the sides, and then it would solely soak that pad, so the entire pad would be completely soaked.
It's like a blotter.
The surface flow irrigation system virtually eliminates runoff and reduces water by 25 to 50%, and it's a cinch to install.
Well, I want to show you the fancy tool that we use to save people's hands when you install this. This is a high-tech gadget.
Yeah. That's it, a bigger piece of pipe.
A bigger piece of pipe. And basically, you can actually stand up and you just find this hole and you push in.
Cool. That's it.
Now you just glue this section of pipe to that section of pipe.
You just keep going down the line.
So the process, let's say somebody decides they're going to do this, and I don't see why they wouldn't, because it seems like a great idea. The first thing they're going to do is set up the right kind of valve, and if they need, and the pressure reducer and the filter, and that's something the contractor usually does.
Yes.
Then they're going to do rows and rows of trenches a certain distance apart.
Right.
And up on the ground, you do all of this, then you just what? Just drop it in
and backfill and hook it up.
Backfill.
Businesses and residents can also try this type of system. It's ideal for watering turf as it eliminates runoff and saves water.
A homeowner could do this.
Correct.
This is not just for parks. This is a
residential, commercial, those hard-to-water spots that you've always wanted a solution in order to water that area.
Yeah.
And we're feeling that this is the new technology, the new wave of our future.
Well, we'll see how it works.
Yeah, we sure will.
Thank you, Santos.
Thank you.
For more information on the surface flow irrigation system, contact the City Water Conservation Program at 564-5460 to see for yourself how the concept of a sponge is helping the city save water. And rest assured, it's been tested and approved by the Garden Wise Guys.
For more information on sustainable landscaping, watch the Garden Wise Guys at 9 a.m. on Tuesdays right here on Channel 18. Visit sbwater.org for all the details. Well, we've all heard the news of some airlines going bankrupt or discontinuing service, but at the Santa Barbara Airport, one airline is actually expanding its service. Up next, find out where these new flights can take you just in time for the holiday season. There's something new on the horizon at the Santa Barbara Airport. It's Horizon Air's nonstop service to Sacramento. The city welcomed this new flight at an inauguration in early November.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yay!
The service, by the carrier voted 2007 Regional Airline of the Year, began on November 10th. There are 2 daily departures, one at 7 a.m. and the other at 5 p.m. These nonstop flights to Sacramento from Santa Barbara aboard Horizon Air will fill a high travel demand for the community since ExpressJet discontinued its service from the Santa Barbara Airport in September. More than 63,000 passengers arrived and departed at the airport in September, a 4.1% decrease over the same month last year. Airport officials attribute the dip in passengers to the loss of ExpressJet service to Sacramento and San Diego.
It was, very successful at first, but when it came to the high fuel prices, it just really knocked their business plan for a loop, and they really could not sustain business at those costs. So they stopped service nationwide, not just at this airport.
Despite the challenges in the airline industry due to the current economic climate, Horizon Air saw the demand for such a service and stepped up to fill the void.
This was a service that previously existed before another carrier ended it, and it was very popular with people both in Sacramento and in Santa Barbara. And so we saw an opportunity to reestablish that service and make flying more convenient for people both in Santa Barbara and in Sacramento.
The flight is perfect for Santa Barbans whose work requires them to travel up north to Sacramento. The route aboard the 70-seat jet takes less than an hour.
Very convenient for business people. If you're doing business in the capital, you can leave on the 7 o'clock flight and come back in the evening, do a full day of business in Sacramento, and be back at your home.
The flight is also well suited for travelers looking for a quick getaway.
Not only business travelers, but those who go skiing in the Tahoe, Reno area during the winter.
To help the struggling airlines, the airport has initiated a program that encourages existing carriers to expand their services based on passenger traffic. Horizon Air did just that, and they hope the community will help them sustain the service by hopping on board this nonstop flight to Sacramento. Horizon Air offers reasonable fares for those nonstop flights to Sacramento. Visit the airport's website at flysba.com. Well, in today's economy, public programs are more important than ever. The Junior League of Santa Barbara and the city's public library are working together to make sure that the community has access to strong children's programs, and the library grows along with youth as well. Up next, Dominique Blocker tells us about this exciting collaboration.
In today's market, or any market for that matter, earning over 400% on your investment sounds too good to be true. But this is no dream. there is a place in your community where you can still get that kind of bang for your buck. The public library. A 2007 study done by the Library Research Service shows that public libraries are a wise investment. On average, the return on monies invested was over $4 for every $1 spent. And as the Santa Barbara Public Library embarks on a substantial fundraising campaign, they hope the community is eager to invest in a place with such high and important returns.
Public libraries, as you know, are supported by the public and provide free public services, but as the demand for more services has grown and as society moves through upturns and downturns in the economy, the revenues available to libraries to provide these services can diminish.
The Central Library is also in need of an update. The building was last renovated in 1980. Since then, staff has seen a large increase in the amount of children using the library and a strong demand for more youth services and materials.
Presently, the Children's Library at the Central Library is located on the main level, and it is a small space. When we renovated the building, we didn't think that we would have a lot of children in the future. Well, time has proven us wrong, and we have lots and lots of families and children that come here every day.
In response to this increased demand, the library started working on a plan to give the Children's Library more space and create a more comprehensive youth program. It was during this time that a local organization came forward with a very enticing proposition.
The Junior League came to us with a wonderful opportunity, a partnership. They were interested in advancing literacy in Santa Barbara, and we just thought it was a great mix. We told them about our plans. At that time, our plans were very basic, and now we have this wonderful opportunity to create this amazing new space downstairs.
The library has, for many years, partnered with local organizations to put on events or to provide services. This is taking that up to another level in terms of a public-private partnership. The Junior League is committed to working with us, and the city is also committed to finding the ways to make this partnership happen.
The partnership came about after the Junior League of Santa Barbara decided to take on early literacy as their new focus. They say since childhood literacy continues to impact children throughout their lives, it has a significant impact on the entire community.
We had a strategic planning process, and through First Five of California, we looked at what unmet needs in the community were not being served. So we approached the public library.
There have been a number of studies about early literacy is a great predictor of children's skills and where they're going to be able to go and achieve in life. So we spend a lot of time here on early literacy, but with this creation of this new room, we'll be able to even focus on it even more.
In many studies, researchers have found that libraries play an important role in helping young children develop reading skills. And more importantly, that early childhood literacy and exposure to a book-rich environment are significant predictors of a child's future success in school and life.
Libraries can play a very important role in child development and getting kids on that path to lifelong learning.
In order to fulfill that role, through the library's partnership with the Junior League of Santa Barbara, the Central Library Children's Room will get a complete makeover.
The present children's room, located on the main level, only has about 1,200 to 1,500 square feet. This new space down here that we're going to create is going to be about 6,000 square feet. We're going to create this amazing space. We're going to have this wonderful opportunity where children can run around and laugh and not be inhibited. We're going to create new family-friendly bathrooms. So it's going to be just a great space, flowing with children every day.
I hope that the Children's Library becomes a destination for moms from Santa Maria all the way down to Ventura, where we have programming that is rich, and we have theater and story time, and we have just a richness of books where kids come and they want to come on a daily basis.
And shifting the children's material to the lower level makes space for CDs, movies, and magazines to move up to the main floor, giving the public easier access to these popular items. Yet, for some who don't have young children, the question remains, why should I care?
We're taking on this project at a time where the revenue is available to us through the public entities such as local and state government are decreasing. But we believe that the community will rally around this as a project for children.
Santa Barbara is a very children-oriented community. We know that people support children here immensely. Even people who don't have children understand the value of giving this type of environment to our children. They're our future. We need them to be strong and healthy and well-educated and interested in things.
And to support this massive project that will span the next 3 to 5 years, the library is planning a number of fundraising events.
In the coming years, the Junior League will be hosting events like this one that encourage youth literacy and raise funds that can be used for the new children's library.
The partnership is not only the moving of the children's area to the lower level, but it's also a plan to enhance programming for children's services. So we've already embarked on plans for that. They put together a corps of volunteers. We're working with them to create new programming, things that we've wished we could do but haven't had the human resources or the financial resources to do. So our partnership is already rolling in terms of introducing new services to the community, and integrated with that are the events that they're planning. You can count on either new programs or events to support the building of the new children's library in the coming months.
For more information on the Santa Barbara Public Library, upcoming fundraising events, or becoming a Junior League member, visit our website, citytv18.com. Well, that does it for this special episode of Inside Santa Barbara. If you have any questions or comments about our show, give us a call at City TV at 564-5311. You can also watch the show online at citytv18.com. I'm your host, Rachel Asenis, and remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara.